You have got to be kidding me. You have got to be fucking kidding me. You get excited for one fighting game, one time in the year 2024, and suddenly it comes out and it doesn't fucking work properly. Wait, I can't swear in the intro. Oops. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's been a very long time since I've been hyped for a fighting game to release. After Strive came out, that was kind of it for me. I was a little bit hyped for Street Fighter 6, not that much for Tekken 8, but Under Night In-Birth 2 was special to me. Oh, I never realized you were an Under Night player, Gecko. I'm not, but a bunch of my friends are. When I first really started getting into fighting game, a bunch of my friends played Under Night, and they were pretty good at it. But we stopped playing because rollback. So when they announced Under Night In-Birth 2 coming out with rollback netcode, I was really excited. And they added a character that's just Gorilla Monkey Man. So I was really excited about that. It comes out on PlayStation. I decided to give it a miss because there's no crossplay in 2024. I wait for the PC release to come out. I get the game. I try to go into rank mode and my game fucking crashes. Like, really? You know what? Let's just do this normally. Let's talk about Under Night In-Birth 2 shitty PC port. But first, this video is sponsored by World Anvil. World Anvil is the ultimate all-in-one software for tabletop gamers, fantasy novelists, and anyone who loves to world build. If you're a fan of tabletop role-playing games, then World Anvil is great for you, featuring a robust campaign manager that spans over 45 different tabletop systems. But what about my homebrew system? Of course you ask that. Well, World Anvil even allows you to create your own system and still gives you access to all of their tools. Create elaborate wiki-style presentations of your world and your writings for other people or just for yourself to keep track of. With features like interactive maps, family trees, timelines, and automatic linking, you're able to create the in-depth detailed world that you've always dreamed of. Your players will never be confused on who anyone is ever again. Well, until they eventually obsess over that one character that you made to fill out a family tree and you just completely forgot about. So what are you waiting for? Go to my link in the description and use code GECKO for 51% off any yearly subscription. Thank you so much to World Anvil for the sponsorship. Now let's get to the video. I'm sorry if it sounds like I'm really angry for this entire video, but I've been waiting for this since it was announced, and when I finally get my hands on the game that I wanted to play, I couldn't fucking play it! If you don't know, Under Night In-Birth 2 is the sequel to the hit franchise Under Night In-Birth. Under Night In-Birth is a bit of a niche fighting game franchise made by French Bread after they were kind of done with Melee Blood, but not really. It's like a BlazBlue situation, apart from the fact they didn't lose the rights, they just decided that it'd be a good idea to make a different game. Yeah, a bunch of different games, none of them had rollback. Uniqlo is pretty fun, but obviously delay-based netcode, yada yada yada. Go to Evo, announce Under Night In-Birth 2, really crazy, really hype. Wah! Wah! I'm so excited! You all know the rest. I need to stop getting hyped for announcements that happened at Evo. Oh yeah, guys, Dragon Ball FighterZ is getting rollback! Yes, sure it fucking is! I don't know why I'm surprised. French Bread has kind of had a history of really shitty releases. When Type Lumina came out, you just couldn't play the game at all. The netcode was just that bad. You'd go online and it just lagged like crazy, and it took them a couple of days for them to fix that, but like, this is embarrassing. I should point out, this is only the PC port, right? The actual console port worked completely fine. You could go and play ranked match, casual match, room match, whatever you wanted, several days before the PC port even came out. So I just kind of assumed that, you know, it'd work normally when it showed up. But this port is just, it's so bad. Apparently this was made by a third party, so not Arc System Works or French Bread. This was made by a different company. Off the top of my head, I can't remember their name, and I didn't write it down in my notes because I had 2 days to make this video. But apparently they're the guys that made the Arcana Hearts free port for PC, and that's also pretty notoriously a terrible port of a fighting game. So, yeah, here we are. God, where do I even start? What do I start with? Okay, so let's go over something that one of my previous idols, Total Biscuit, may he rest in peace, would have absolutely lost his shit over. The options menu just sucks. It's just bad. There's a couple of cool options in it, and Under Night In-Birth 2 has some really fucking cool features, but you just can't put it in borderless window at all. And the graphic settings are extremely lacking. In fact, they're so bad that if you turn VSync on, the game runs worse. I don't know how putting VSync makes the game run worse, But here we are. Yeah, let me just go back to delay-based netcode while I line up the frames with your fucking refresh rate. Fucking, what else is there before we get onto the multiplayer fiasco? You know how, like, the story mode has these scenes where you will just go and talk to an opponent before you actually fight them? I like to call them the visual novel sections because they're a visual novel. If you tab out of the visual novel sections while they're playing and tab back in, it will just restart the scene. How? Like, I did 3 years of programming at university. I have no idea how this happens. Like, what black magic did you use? What shadow wizard did you pay in order to make it so that a fucking scene would reset when you restarted? It's terrible. And speaking of tabbing out, okay, if you are to somehow find a match, which technically right now isn't impossible because French Bread actually patched the game, if you were to tab out during the loading screen of the match, it just boots you out of the match. So if you really don't want to fight somebody that you find in ranked, you are able to tab out of the game, and congratulations, you have an automatic desync button that takes you away. What the fuck? Hello, this is a little bit later because I was going back for the audio and I remembered I missed something. So you know how like PC applications have little icons on the taskbar that show you exactly what they are? Undying in Birth 2 doesn't have that. It uses the default Windows one. So you look at it and it's just an application. Not to mention every time that the game crashes, it resets back to the settings that you had before the game crashed. Somehow. I don't even know how that's possible. We should probably get on to the entirety of the online problem. Everything that you've been hearing about Under Night in Birth 2 and why it's such a terrible port. The online would just refuse to work consistently. And you may be like, oh, what do you mean consistently? Well, sometimes, and only sometimes, the game would crash when attempting to connect you with another player. And this is the most inconsistent bug that I've ever seen. What would happen is you would queue into a quick match or a specific search match, because that's how French Bread Ranked works for some reason. And when the opponent was found, your game might crash. Might. This was extremely inconsistent because A, some people would just not crash when this happened, meaning that they could play ranked with the myriad of other issues that the ranked mode had, and B, only some people would crash you. I played this live on stream, and I managed to get exactly one casual match in. One. Every other casual match that I attempted to connect to crashed the game, but one person was able to connect with me. Huh? A lot of people are saying this is due to region locking things, but it doesn't make sense because region locking should just make it so that you can't find other people, which you can't, by the way, unless they fix that, which they might have. But it shouldn't crash your game when you try to connect with someone from a different region. It doesn't make any sense. And even when you get online, it's very hard to tell how good an actual connection is. Once you find a match against somebody, which is already a fucking miracle, the ping that you two have is inflated to high heavens. I was playing with one of my good friends who lives in Portugal, and we normally have about a 50 to 60 ms ping when we fight against each other. Portugal to the UK isn't that far in terms of net play nowadays. But when I played her for the first time, we had about 500 ping, which wasn't correct. Because the ping is so inflated, it's really hard to tell what you should set your delay base to. And even then, sometimes the online just didn't run very well. It felt like on some maps, randomly, the game would just be way laggier than the input lag that I put in. Meaning that when I try to play it and do my B&B combos, I just drop them because there's 5 frames of lag now, I guess. But it wasn't consistent as well. This is the biggest problem. The whole port is just inconsistent. Some things work well for some people some of the time, and then the rest of it doesn't work at all. And it's extremely annoying and really frustrating, and I was so excited, and it just made me remember something. Stop pre-ordering games. There's a whole reason that in the latest video I did on Tekken 8, I said wait until the game is out. Wait until people have played it and see what the online is. Because you never know with these kind of things. Turns out nowadays, even if a working version of the game is on a different console, it doesn't mean that the PC port is going to work. I thought we left that shit back in the PS3 era, but hey-ho, I guess we're still doing it. Which is really depressing, because Under Night in Birth 2 is a pretty good game when you get to play it. I don't really know what the whole point of this video is anymore. The whole thing was I was going to review Under Night In-Birth 2, going to talk about Tsurugi, going to get really excited about everything that was happening, and then I couldn't play the game. The footage you're seeing is after they finally patched the game a couple days later to get everything working. And even then, most of the people that I know have refunded the game. Like, this kind of stuff puts a massive red flag on the entire franchise. Yeah, the game might be fun, but is it gonna work? Really? Can we trust the developers at this point? Fuck, man. I just wanted to be part of the Shield gang, you know? I wanted to see how it would be, and then just couldn't play the game. No bugs. Terrible, terrible bugs. I'm, like, genuinely upset. I don't know how to end this video now. Thankfully, the silver lining is French Bread seem to be doing a lot of work to make sure that the PC port is up to snuff. Now, we shouldn't praise devs for fixing a port after it comes out, for the simple fact of it should be working on launch. But it is admirable of them that they are actually trying to get the game in a functioning state and not leaving it to rot. This does make me worry a little bit. Especially with Tekken 8 coming out around the same time, a lot of people are probably just going to brush off Under Night In-Birth 2 now. And that's a shame. I really wanted to make this video to say that you should buy Under Night In-Birth 2. But unfortunately, I can no longer make that recommendation. And that's the video. That's it. You just watched a slightly elongated rant about how bad the Under Night In-Birth 2 port is. Thank you all for watching. Normally I would be streaming at this time, but it's been a very hectic week for me, so I'm going to be taking a bit of a break. Thank you all for watching, though. I'll see you next week with a very special Gecko Scroll video. And if I don't see you then, I'll hopefully see you in the future. Have a good night, everybody. As always, a very special thanks to 64 MHz, Almost Nap Time, Ben from Canada, Savantas de Leon, Daniel Wiederick, Edison Luttery, Fexo, Games.png, I Am Naruto, Knife and Spoon, Critty Cat, MP04, Mr. Clen, Ray W, Sergeant Cubby, Super, Falcon, Tom Tanks, Velvet Puppy, Volta, and Zandatsu for being Tier 2 patron supporters.